The Supreme Court this morning will hear arguments in one of the biggest cases of its term, a battle between religious liberty and anti-discrimination. Lines started forming yesterday for a seat inside the court. Justices will hear arguments from a Colorado baker who refused to make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple in 2012. The court ruled in 2015 that the Constitution protects same-sex marriage nationwide, and now it will decide just how far that protection goes. Jan Crawford spoke to both parties in this landmark case, and she joins us from outside the court this morning. Jan, good morning.
Well, good morning. So, as you can see, this case is attracting a lot of attention, and it pits a right to free speech and free religion against a right to be free from discrimination. A devout Christian baker on the one hand, and a same-sex couple who just wanted a wedding cake. Jack Phillips had been making wedding cakes for nearly 20 years when Dave Mullins, Charlie Craig, and his mother, Debbie Munn, walked into his masterpiece cake shop outside Denver.
He asked us who the cake was for, and when we said it was for us, he said he would not make a cake for a same-sex wedding.
Mullins and Craig were getting married in Massachusetts and were planning a celebration back home in Colorado.
We went in so happy and left broken.
I was embarrassed that my mom had to see me go through that. And, I have to be honest, I started to break down and I cried.
I've tried to respectfully apologize that I couldn't create this thing.
Phillips, who grew up drawing and painting, says his cakes are personal artistic expressions.
I serve everybody who comes in my shop. So in this case, I will gladly sell you anything in my shop. But this is just an event that I can't create a cake for.
But to Mullins and Craig, it was discrimination. They filed a complaint against Phillips and won.
What we went through was humiliating and painful and degrading, and we didn't want another loving couple to have to go through that.
But for Phillips, the ordeal was also painful.
Phone calls were coming, harassing, swearing at you, to where my wife was afraid to come into the shop at points. And there were tears, and it's just like, what's going on? What do we do?
Phillips stopped making wedding cakes so he wouldn't be forced to violate his beliefs.
And what if the Supreme Court rules against you?
If we have to close a business in order to stand for our faith, then that's what we'll do.
Now, Phillips's lawyer says the case could affect all kind of creative professionals and force them to create artworks that may conflict against their religious beliefs. But the couple says this is just a straight-up case of discrimination. Norah?
Really interesting to hear those arguments. Jen, let me ask you about the other big news out of the Supreme Court, them upholding the president's travel ban, said it would take full effect. What can you tell us about that decision?
Well, this is a win for the president. It's a temporary win, but it basically means that the travel ban can stay in effect while all these appeals play out, that the Trump administration will be able to fully enforce this ban until all these lawsuits are resolved. Now, two judges in Hawaii and Maryland had said that the restrictions on Trump's travel order had to be limited and that travelers with bona fide connections to the United States could not be kept out of the country. But with the Supreme Court's order yesterday, in most cases, citizens from 8 countries will be unable to enter the United States. It applies to people from 6 mostly Muslim countries and North Korea and Venezuela.
All right, Jan, thank you.